What's something you saw that you weren't definitely supposed to see? By Ask Reddit.
A text from my wife to someone else: I can't wait to feel every inch of you deep inside me. Divorce is going okay.
But are you okay?
He will be better off without her in the long run at least.
I have the same first name as the CFO of my former employer. The CEO was not very technically savvy, and emailed me confidential company documents more than once. Edit, well. Thanks all. 30k upvotes just because my CEO was an idiot.
And now you are working for their competitors, which mysteriously crushed them.
It's a foolproof win, and the CEO is luckily a fool.
At a previous company, one of the devs on my team was lent a USB drive by someone in finance that had a spreadsheet called restructuring on it. The dev in question looked at it and saw the entire dev team was going to be laid off in about 6 months. They were all shocked Pikachu when the entire dev team found other jobs and quit that same month. Think I was the second to go, but apparently it was a POO show for the last couple, as they couldn't hire replacements for people they wanted to lay off anyway, but still needed work completing to actually make money. The company folded not long after.
I worked in the IT department for a company that was about to go under a long time ago. The fairly new CTO, who implemented all kinds of new things, including the new payroll system, was in on all the meetings about downsizing and layoffs that were coming up. A couple days before the axe dropped, he still hadn't gotten a finalized list of who was getting let go. So he popped into the payroll system and found who had checks cut for them, and was surprised and pissed off to find one for himself. He gave those guys some warning so they could remove personal items from the office before they had to do while security watched.
Yes, I brought this $10,000 multifunction printer from home. Yes, of course the backup generator is mine too. And the CEO's chair.
I was a nosy child, and I was looking through my grandmother's address/phone number book. She had little post-its tucked in random places. I came across a note that was a list of things she wanted to do to be happy, and one of them was find a man that loves me. My grandfather had died a while back, probably 8 years previous. It didn't make me sad then, but it really does now, because she has dementia and can't remember things that happened a few seconds ago.
My grandma divorced when my dad was 8, and her husband moved away, so my dad and his siblings hardly saw him. My grandma didn't date anyone as far as I know, and still hasn't, but a few years ago got a dog. It was perfect for her, she could talk to it, and it was generally a great dog. One night she let it out to go pee and it didn't come back. We looked for it that night and my dad found it 30 feet away in a ditch. It had been hit by a car. They went to go put it down the next day, and I can still hear my grandma wailing.
When I was young, maybe 6 to 8, I was at my grandparents' house. I was talking with my grandma, and said, I wonder if there is a website named after me. She was just as curious as me, so we go to look it up. I type in my name then .com, and to both of our horrors it was a P website.
My name, dear reader? Ex-hamster. I was living with my girlfriend and her parents. One day I run down the stairs real quick to use the bathroom to see her parents getting down and dirty under the blanket on the couch. At this point it was too late to turn around, so I just ran past them. I use the bathroom and come out to her dad waiting in the kitchen. Most awkward moment I've had when it comes to parents, lol.
I'll trade you. I barged in my parents' bedroom to seeing my mom ride my dad. Awkward as hell. Had to go to family reunion that day, 45 minutes away. Was near them both all day. To this day, I'm not sure if they saw me.
I was jerking off before work one day in my room with earphones in. I seen movement in the corner of my eye over beside my door. I was my dad back. He had walked in to see me fully naked and beating my meat, then nipped the F out. He gave me a lift to work that day in almost dead silence.
That's why I never have both earphones in, always scared I won't hear someone.
When I was around 10 years old, my mom and I went to visit an aunt and uncle, as my uncle, my mom's brother, had just had a major surgery. During the visit, my aunt and my mom cooked a big dinner, and my aunt tells me to go call for my cousin to eat dinner. I go to his room and open the door to be greeted by the sight of guns lining the bed, and I vividly remember seeing bricks of what I later learned were cocaine, and big burlap sacks of WD. I blurted out, "Your mom said come eat," and immediately slammed the door shut. It was no secret to anyone in our family the type of business that our cousins were in. He came out of his room a few minutes later and scolded me for not knocking. I was scared police, but the young kid brain in me was also extremely fascinated to see that they were real-life D-lords.
My guy, you were practically in a gang movie when they are prepared to make a risky deal, LMAO.
The fact blocks of cocaine and guns were everywhere must mean that they were going to be doing something with it soon. Definitely going to go with my grandmother's vibrator.
Don't you have one of your own you could use?
I needed a USB drive at work one day, and asked one of my co-workers if I could borrow one. It didn't work though. For some reason files wouldn't transfer to it. I started looking around for clues and found an absolute massive P collection on there. The co-worker was looking over my shoulder the whole time. The only thing I could think of to say was interesting.
I am imagining how awkward and feebly, interesting came out, and I am absolutely crying onk.
Best line for it.
Living out in the country, when I was 10 years old, my parents went to the local video rental place and brought back a few VHS. They told me to pop in Planet of the Apes. I did, and whoever had it before didn't rewind it, and it started mid-video, and all you heard was moaning, and all I saw was an eyeful of decay and vague. And I stared glued to the TV, and my parents freaked out and ran to turn off the TV. Apparently the small video rental store back then doubled as an adult video store as well, and somehow they accidentally grabbed a copy of Playmate of the Apes by accident.
Playmate of the Apes, my sides.
In the early 2000s, when everyone was accusing Iraqi dictator of having weapons of mass destruction, there was an all-anal video called Weapons of Ass Destruction. I went to pay a ticket I got while driving with my headlights turned off. I walked into the courthouse office I was supposed to be in and looked through the glass to see the elected male sheriff giving the female magistrate a back and shoulder rub. They both went white when I knocked on the glass. The sheriff immediately stopped and walked to another room. The magistrate gave me the weirdest look and said, "I guess Christmas came early for your stamp," and gave me the receipt of the voided ticket. Sometimes it pays to see something you're not supposed to see.
My mom's suicide plan. She had a small notepad that she kept in her dresser drawer. It had her planning on trying to make it look like an accident so my dad could collect the insurance money. She almost even went through with it one day, but from my understanding my brother unexpectedly came home early from either school or a friend's and she didn't go through with it.
On Thanksgiving when I was like 15, my older and younger brother had both been arguing with my mom all day long. My older brother kept saying how much of a bitch she was. I walked into her room that evening and saw her standing by her bed with a few pill bottles open sitting on the nightstand and her crying while holding a handful of pills. I didn't say anything, just walked over and gave her a hug and held her for like an hour. Eventually she asked for me to let her go, and walked to the bathroom and threw the pills in the toilet. The next week we found out that my stepdad had been effing his boss while away for work, and called my mom on Thanksgiving to tell her he wanted a divorce. My mom and I didn't talk about what happened for a few months. Eventually when she opened up about it, she said I was the only reason she didn't take the pills and that I had saved her life. She died the week after our talk from an unrelated accident. It will have been 10 years since then in March. Still miss her every effing day. I have never told this story to anyone. Nobody in my family even knows. We'll probably delete it in a bit. Just felt like sharing. Edit. I'm not going to delete it. Thank you everyone for the love, support, and internet hugs. Went to bed after making this post, and woke up to a few hundred comments and messages. Just spent the last hour reading each and every one.
I am sorry for your loss. It was good that she got to see your kindness and warmth one last time in her last days. Some people aren't as lucky as you and treat a close one badly unintentionally and after their death live in regret that they did not part goodbye on a good note. Thankfully your mother saw in you what she need to see in her ending days. Hope she is somewhere in peace.
Is she okay now? I hope she is doing fine.
Thankfully yes, still suffers from pretty bad depression and has had some small bouts of minor self-harm, but luckily she hasn't tried anything serious.